All right, guys, we have Tampa young business leader today, Ashley Louzon. She is an amazing young lady for Christ, loves the Lord, and she is leading the business community. You're going to love this interview. Check it out. All right, guys, so welcome back. We are here with Ashley Louzon. I am super pumped to interview Ashley. Been following her for a while. She's actually right here in my home city, that I love, born and raised here, Tampa, and happens to attend the church that we have multiple campuses. She happens to attend the campus, our main campus of the Radiant Church in Tampa. But Ashley, the reason I'm talking to you today, you're a young business leader, and I really follow a lot of young business leaders, and I'm not young, so I'm 51. I mean, I'm past that young, and I'm soon to probably be like a veteran sage. But looking back, I just remember. As a business person, I mentor a lot of young business leaders, and I remember being one myself, not having anyone to really help me along the way, and I failed a lot. So I watch the patterns, and I'm fascinated. And so I watched you, and here's my question. And I know you're a person of faith, and we'll get to that in a second. But with regards to how much you do, seeing you at a lot of events, constantly networking, being around like-minded people. Talk a little bit about what drives you in the business community to do that. I just think that that's special for someone in your generation, and I just think that can inspire people.
So first off, thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I would say for me, it was kind of a gradual onset of getting involved. It really started out with kind of the high-level quote that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And for me, putting myself in those situations where I'm surrounded by people that challenge me and motivate me to do better and be more is really something that really helped me in my career advancement. So I'll give you an example. I'm in a networking group in Tampa, and I remember like it was yesterday, my very first social event. They call it an Engage series. And I showed up, I didn't know anyone. And I was that person standing in the corner, didn't know who to talk to. And I was just standing there. And I thought to myself, oh, this is so hard. And what I did is I kept going back. I kept showing up. And after 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 times, I started to see the same people. I started to feel more comfortable. And by growing alongside them, they would pull me into other things that they were involved with. So coming out of college from USF, I didn't really have that involvement in the business community. So I picked one group, that young professionals group, to start growing and really giving it 110%. I'm really a big proponent of, if you're going to do things, make sure that you're fully committed to it. Right. So I kept showing up, I kept growing. And as a result of that, I just kept meeting new people and kept getting connected with more and more opportunities. And it came to a point where after, years and years of being faithful doing that, I've come to a place where I'm at today, where I'm involved with all these different things and I have this network, but it was not something that happened overnight. It was really those decisions to just show up and put yourself in those places that at sometimes may be a little uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's interesting because I look back and the sweaty palms, my first event versus now when I'm on the leadership team and those people are some of my best friends. It's interesting seeing the journey.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And, and it resonates because I think that people are listening right now and, it's hearing that. I think that's the first step. A lot of times people see, the glitz and glamour of business, or they see maybe a post and they go, I want to do that. Yes. That seems fascinating. Or, hey, I want to go there. But they don't understand the time that's put into it and the strategy. And, and here's another thing I got out of that too. You're studying people that have experienced success. You're looking and reading, and I think I'm a sales trainer among some things that I do, and they say that 90% of salespeople have never read a sales book, and a lot of times you look at people that want to take a shortcut and get there without really studying, without reading, without examining. So I think the thing you said that stood out is you want to be around people that have done it, and so let me ask you this with regards to your faith too. How does faith, because I know that I know you're a person of faith, and I know it's a big deal to you. How does your faith influence the way you approach, business and approach, these events and approach leadership? How does your faith impact those decisions?
So it really embodies who I am as a person. So I really live through the model of being the same person everywhere I go. And so for me, I have core things that I've identified as part of my faith that are important to me, core values. And applying that to, for example, business, I really approach things from the way of, I want to embody Christ. So the biggest thing that has really stood out to me and something that I'm so passionate about is servant leadership. And my role as a Scrum Master, which sounds like a Ninja Turtle or something, right? As a Scrum Master, IT project manager, my position is to be a servant leader. And so I've always approached my career from the aspect of, one, treating people with kindness, but also treating people with respect and building that foundation of trust. And that authenticity really allows you the segue to build those relationships, because you're not approaching it from a strategy perspective of, oh, I'm trying to win these people over to further my agenda. It's truly something that, as part of my faith, it's very important to me to treat people with respect, build that trust.
Right.
And it's in turn really helped me in the business world. And it hasn't always been easy, because I've definitely hit heads with people before where they may have an approach that's more fear and control leadership, because in project management, there's two ways to get things done as far as execution wise.
Right.
You can use the fear, control, bullying, segue type of leadership style, or on the other hand, which is in alignment with my faith, you can come alongside, be a servant leader, motivate others, remove those impediments, remove those roadblocks for them, and really lift them up, be in the trenches and help them be positioned for success.
Yeah.
And that's something where it's always been so important to me, but I've really seen over the last couple of years how that can really yield results long term. And it's not something you do because you're trying to accomplish something. It's just who you are as a person. And that's really the biggest thing I've seen. And it translates to networking too, right? Because you're building those connections, and it's like sowing seed. You're planting seeds, and it may take, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years for them to bloom. But if you just keep sowing and just keep being faithful and just keep treating people with respect, you'll see those results multiply tenfold.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go off of that for a second, kind of unpack it. First of all, core values is a big deal. I was just talking about core values this past Monday to our entire company and going through the 9 core values. And, I mentioned how important, the core is. When you start working out, the first thing the first thing a program will work on is it'll work on your core, first, because everything else comes from that core. But, I want to talk about servant leadership for a second and that particular core value versus the top-down approach that you mentioned, which is the way business has been, I think, taught. And when I say taught, I think it was just literally like caught. Like it wasn't like, there weren't a lot of people teaching things. It was more like, just you got to just pick up scraps and kind of learn yourself. But this top-down approach, I think, is really, I don't even personally think it's a style. I think it's the wrong way, and I don't mean to be dogmatic, but when you look at Jesus and how he walked in servant leadership, because look, so let me just say this, as a temperament, I took some temperament counseling a while back, my wife and I did years ago, and a pastoral temperament counselor basically diagnosed my temperament as choleric sanguine, which is controlling people person. So I, by nature, understand what it is to be controlling, to want to be in control. But so I get that as a personality. However, when you love people, that's the key. And I think that's what made Jesus so great, right? He's definitely in control. He's not going to have it any other way, but he loves people. So I don't think it's just a style. I really feel like that's the secret, because when you come along, I think it's when you look at people, they may do what you say because there's fear there, but do they want to? Do they want to show
And it makes
forward?
it so much more sustainable, right?
Yes.
High performers, it makes it so much more sustainable to have that success long term and really build that culture of success if you have that trust and that aspect as a foundation. It's like in agile coaching, they talk about the high performance tree, and the roots are planted in the trust and establishing the foundation. If you have fear or, different poisons in the roots, eventually the tree's going to fall over. It may take, 10 years, but if the right hurricane comes along, that tree's going to fall over. So it's really fascinating. And it's something that I'm really passionate about.
That's good. I love it. Definitely. And so you know what? Servant leadership you can't have better roots. I think that's a great start. And so we have a couple minutes here. I want to ask, your journey, can inspire, other people, and you're doing that. I see what you do, and there's a gravitation towards you. There's people that just gravitate towards you, and I think a lot of them probably don't know. All of them don't know why, but we understand why, right? There's Christ in you. But what message or piece of advice can you share, with other, maybe entrepreneurs or business leaders or, young people maybe coming out of college, that are going to be entering the workforce, especially those who want to, infuse their faith into their business pursuits, and they're trying to figure out how to do that?
I would say twofold. I would say first off, don't give up. That's the biggest thing I've learned over the very long tenure of things I've been through is don't give up. And it's interesting. You say what you see right on socials and stuff. People never really know the backstory. And I've really overcome a lot of adversity in my life. And it's really built that foundation for me in that I know a little bit better now how to navigate situations. But I really learned that through perseverance, through diligence, through not giving up. And I would even say it to the degree of, if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. I mean, I've had days where I take it 1 hour at a time. And the beauty of faith coming in is because there's pain, there's purpose in your pain, right? Looking at it as, for example, this podcast. Now I can use things I've been through to help others, to encourage them not to give up, et cetera, because I've seen the rewards in my own life from persevering. And so I would say, don't give up. That's the biggest one. And then second of all, don't wait till you're ready. That's another big one. Everyone does it scared. They may look like they're confident. I was terrified to get on this podcast today. I was eating some chocolate, stress eating before it, right? Do it scared. Every keynote ever, I'm sure will tell you that they were nervous before they got on stage. You're never going to feel truly ready. And the only way that you can get to that next level is putting yourself in those uncomfortable spaces that allow you to grow. And it's interesting, tying it back to my career and what I do for a living, looking at the agile mindset and how that comes into growth versus fixed mindset. Growth is your skills and talents are innate, and failure is a reflection of your innate abilities. Growth, on the other hand, says your skills and talents can be developed, right? Like, you were made for a purpose. If you want to get better in an area, the only person holding you back is you. And as a woman, what I've really seen throughout my life, and something that I've really worked on, is getting out of my own way. I mean, even with this job I recently got, there's a book called How Women Rise that talks about how women will look at a job description, and this applies to men too, but just using the example for this talk, and say, oh, well, I don't check this box and this box, I'm not going to apply. And allowing yourself to put yourself in that situation where you can rise to the occasion and not talk yourself out of it. Like, that's just something that for me has been a big one. So don't give up, keep persisting, develop that resilience. If you get knocked down, get up again, even if you have to crawl, just keep going, because eventually it may take a while, but you'll see those results. And then two, don't wait till you're ready, because spoiler alert, no one feels ready.
I love that. That's preaching, that's speaking my language for sure. I probably by default have spoken 65% of my motivational talks around not quitting. Huge, and I just keep going back to it because, and I'll tell you this, and they kind of tie together on a consistent basis, because not only are you not ready in the beginning, you'll find throughout your career, and I've been in business for, close to 27 years, and I found that, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, certainly monthly, you want to quit. And so, you, by the way, you do that. You want to quit because you don't feel ready. So it's, I don't feel ready for the day sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel ready for what I have to face. And so, I love that. You can't beat a person that will not quit. And then I love that, and don't wait until you're ready, because what you're going to do is you're never go. You're kick it down the road. So I love those. Great advice. And love this talk. I think that it's going to inspire and touch a lot of people. And super, super happy to have you on. Your handle, your Instagram, your LinkedIn handle has been on the screen multiple times, and I want our listeners to follow you and to just, if anything, message you, let you know that you were an inspiration to them on this episode. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Young Business Leaders edition. And congratulations on the new venture, and can't wait to see what God's taking you.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor to be here, and everyone can reach out to me. More than happy to connect, shoot me a message. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, guys, that was fire. Listen, I hope you enjoyed our interview with Ashley. If you did, make sure you reach out and tell her. I'll see you next time on GC Talks.